This video is only about half of the full interview. To watch the whole thing, head over to our Patreon page and subscribe. There you'll find the full interview along with other subscriber-only content and merch. Our show is made possible by the support of our Patreon members. So if you like what we're doing here, please consider becoming one. A portion of the proceeds goes to mental health and sexual assault charities. Welcome, Jay. You've been in LA 5 years.
Yeah.
25.
Yeah.
Where were you before that?
Right before here?
Yeah.
Right before here, I was in Minneapolis.
What were you doing there?
Up in Minneapolis, I was actually teaching kids Chinese. Yeah.
How did you start learning Chinese?
I went to China when I was in university.
For what?
The first time I went was I was in ROTC and they sent me to learn Chinese, the Mandarin, because I chose to learn Mandarin. And I was in a really intensive program in Nankai, and at Nankai Dashue, which is Nankai College, Nankai University, in Tianjin, China, which is like an hour on the bullet train from Beijing, maybe 2 hours.
So it's rural.
That place was rural, yeah. But I've been to China multiple times and lived there a few times in a few different cities.
Yeah.
I've gone there for modeling, I've gone there to continue studying, always to learn more about China though.
Yeah.
You
like it there?
I did. I loved it there, yeah. I don't know if I would anymore.
Why? Has it changed?
Oh yeah, I mean in Shanghai, they closed the banks, like they cut off everyone's access to the banks and the ability to withdraw money, and like the city's on lockdown because of,
COVID?
Yeah.
Wait, why can't people get their money?
Because it's a different type of government. Yeah, it's everything is owned by the CCP.
But I thought that was always the case.
Indeed, but at certain times, the government does certain things.
Got it. So it's gotten a little bit more extreme there.
Yeah. And it's just like, I feel like I was there in the golden age,
The golden age of China.
Yes, the golden age of China, golden age 3, basically, where there was a lot of money going around.
Yeah.
Business was bustling. They were really expanding on the global market. They had this like the One Belt, when they were just opening the Silk Road 2.0. They're just opening the new Silk Road, including the ocean strip. So they had a lot of money coming in, super ambitious. A lot of really awesome people in the city. So the clubbing was awesome. The culture was dope. As usual, there was a lot of people. A lot of people. Everywhere you go, imagine there's 4 times as many people.
Like more crowded than anyone in the West would even understand.
Right.
Yeah.
They have to get used to it. Some days some days you just crack. You just like, I can't go outside. Like you just get to learn, right? The space that you get is so much smaller,
Yeah.
And like the personal space bubble, if it has to be, is your skin,
Yeah.
Which is pretty different.
So you'd be on like trains, like packed in with people?
Yeah, especially the subway, like in Shanghai.
Yeah.
Honestly, any of the big cities. At some point, the subway is gonna get sardined.
That seems like it would get really old. Really fast.
Dude, like you're on the subway already. If the train goes in any direction, you don't have to hold on because there's enough people in there. And then the way that they try to squeeze more people in is people would like basically charge into the train just to get squeezed in, because everyone is kind of in a rush.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Was there any culture shock there?
Culture shock for me.
Yeah, for you.
Yeah. I think in each city had something. Let's see, in Tianjin, the culture shock was the first place that I went. I think it was just like how mundane it was in an industrial city, right? Like, I guess it'd be the American version of like somewhere in bumfuck Pennsylvania. I don't know if I can curse.
Yeah, you can.
Word.
Yeah.
Yeah, word. Somewhere in bumfuck Pennsylvania, where like the mentality is just like work, eat, maybe entertain yourself with some TV, sleep, repeat.
Yeah.
And like a lot of people weren't looking outside of that. They weren't necessarily taught to
Yeah, they weren't taught to.
Exactly.
That's a culture shock.
Yes.
Because we're a more individualist society.
For sure. For sure. Right. The mob mentality.
Yeah.
Like, you really see that shit is crazy. And then, like, it's not racist at all. If you've never been over there, everyone looks kind of similar at first, you know, like. I'm pretty sure they would say the same thing. They called me Obama a lot. Other basketball players, you know. This guy, I'm sitting on the back of this little cart. A lot of people, you could buy anything and charge someone for a ride in China. You know, like a tuk-tuk, a moped, a golf cart. So I'm like on the back of this golf cart, and this guy walking, like as we passed him, he looks at me and he's like, Obama! And like a lot of that, you know? So I was a shock too, but that kind of in a good way, right? Like people running up, literally like people, you know, wanting to pull my hair.
Right.
Like being like, are you real?
Are you real? Asking,
they're like, why is your skin so dark and mine is so light? They are the wildest questions.
They've never seen a black person before.
Right, yeah. Exactly.
But what about on TV?
That's fucking crazy.
That's crazy.
Isn't that fucking crazy?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Actually, one of the times I went to China, this guy from Colorado, he's a really good friend of mine. Like, we were bros. He had never had a black friend, but that's different from never seeing a black person.
Yeah.
That's kind of insane.
Yeah.
That's how
and
many
if you're
people.
Rural too, they probably haven't seen anyone like any other race, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And to different races of Chinese folks, right? There's like Han Chinese, which is like the mainstream, basically all the actors. Anybody you see in a movie, for the most part, is Han Chinese.
So that's like kind of like the upper class.
Yeah, the majority, they're definitely treated differently. You know, I don't know if we should talk about that.
I think we should talk about that. I think that's what I'm interested in. That kind of shit.
That's a lot of stuff I learned about.
Yeah.
Dark side.
There's a lot of classism there. Well, that's wait, they're communists.
All the isms. Yes.
Yeah. All the isms.
All the isms under communism, you know? It's like sexism with, of course, preferring men over women because
they don't let you have like too many daughters, right?
Right. They didn't let you have too many kids in general.
Yeah.
I think when I was there, they had just overturned the one-child policy and allowed two.
Two.
Right. But they had already done what they wanted to do. Yeah. See, people think that they wanted to change the mentality.
Yeah.
Right. So now that they changed the rule, people don't want it because they grew up thinking that it wasn't possible. So, of course,
they grew up thinking that it was impossible or it just wasn't allowed.
That it just wasn't a lot, like, you know.
I don't know how deep the indoctrination goes.
I see. But that it wasn't allowed. If you had a lot of money, then you could have more kids. If you were, so there's this race of people called the Uyghurs.
Aren't they the ones being targeted? They're the victims of the.
Right.
Yeah.
For sure. I've been to their homeland too. Spent some really good time in there, learning some really wild stuff. I actually have a photo reel of proof if anybody wants to see.
I believe you, but I'll check it out after the interview.
Where, like, I was in there riding camels in the desert, talking to the natives, really learning, like, what is going on, right? And so when I went there, they had just lost the ability to go to school and learn their own language. They had to learn Chinese, Mandarin Chinese, and they weren't allowed to speak their language. So they were trying to basically eradicate their culture. Right. They stopped allowing them to have as many kids as they traditionally have. They went into like the old traditional houses and then just like bulldozed that whole section and rebuilt housing and moved everyone over there. They were building, crazy shit. This is why no one would ever, this is why I feel like when I fall in love, I'm like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Because like I get to be the real me, which a lot of people can't accept because I've seen some shit that would just make you rethink everything, you know? Anyway, they bulldozed this place. Oh, bro, they're literally building history museums full of lies. Like building history museums to take kids through for the next fucking however many years about some bullshit.
What are the lies?
Like about the history of how the city got to look how it does. The history of the government's interaction. So instead of they came in and bulldozed everything, they said the older properties were deteriorating and the citizens wanted the Chinese government to fix it. So the Chinese government built them new housing. When in reality, they forced them out and tore down their housing and forced them into new housing. You know what I'm saying? Like that type of stuff. So it's like, wow.
It's scary, especially when you think about the fact that like we don't even know what's really going on. Like you know, how many things have already been lost to time. You know, like how many things have been lied about by governments like that we don't know actually what really went down. You know, because there isn't anyone who really remembers.
Right. Yeah. I mean, if you've ever, here's the thing. If you've ever been around or had top secret clearance, that's also going to change your perspective. Most average citizens who don't believe in anything that's off of like CNN, it's because they don't know that the government is hiding a bunch of shit. They're hiding, all governments hide a bunch of stuff because they need you to believe something for the world to operate in the current way that it does, which means that, like you said, you know, a lot of things that are written down in history are total BS. Right. And like that goes from religions to histories to, you know, the whole everything in between, I guess. Yeah. Really.
So what other ways was there culture shock? It was different in the rural area. It was more pronounced in the rural area.
Everything was more extreme there. Yeah. But the major cities, dude, the noise.
The noise.
Wild. It's always, think about it. There's 32 million people. Yeah. So there's airplanes going over, trains, cars, people full on the sidewalk, construction going on, like sensory overload, you know. So being adjusting to being around that much energy takes something, you know. It takes a minute to adjust to. If you were born like in fucking, you know, if you were born where I went to high school at, there's 15,000 people. I don't know, you're either going to be amazed and or lose your mind or just absolutely hate it. And everyone has a period. If you're there for more than 3 months, like you have a period where you just kind of freak the fuck out. Yeah. You know, you're in China, everything's different. They don't have soap in the bathrooms. Like, you know, you got to squat when you poop and pee. And like, you know, nothing's the same. All the chairs are different. The tables are fucking smaller, so you're hitting your knees on everything is my problem. Like, the restaurants are fucking amazing, but you never really know about the quality, you know what I'm saying? Like, fat or not? Right, you're like, at best, I can like assume because everything's expensive, but I don't know. Like, dude, the crazy stuff going on. Like, there was this period of time where they were selling these fake eggs in China, right? And they would fry like regular, and you'd chop it up, but it was really some like chemical compound.
It wasn't really egg?
No.
You ate it?
I didn't eat it, no. I survived all of China without getting any like food poisoning, which is why
is that rare?
Oh yeah.
Oh wow.
Oh yeah. I mean,
yeah.
But some people do some crazy shit. Like, for example, we're at a baozi shop, like a baozi, the dumpling shop, right? We're at a dumpling shop, and this rat comes out of this crack in the building, right? And it was pretty sizable, and I was like, I'm not gonna eat here. And my friend was like, you don't know, if the rat was in the building, you know, it's probably fine. Dude really fucked up, because after that, he had food poisoning for like 3 days.
Oh no.
Yeah, to the point, and then he had to go to the hospital, which was also really dirty. Not that it doesn't work, I'm not gonna say that. They use traditional Chinese medicine over there, and them hospitals in the cut.
You don't want to go there?
Not a place for open wounds. You know what I'm saying?
So wait, they do like alternative medicine?
Yeah, TCM, traditional Chinese medicine. You got like, there's really both separate. There's Western medicine hospitals, and then there's TCM hospitals. I started off in a city that only had access to TCM hospitals. At one point, I got a sinus infection that kept building so bad I had to fly to Korea to get regular medicine.
Oh wow.
Right. So like, cause I just couldn't find it in China. I didn't know how to navigate like that.
How do they manage like someone with like a missing finger or something? Do you even?
Well, they do, like I said, have Western hospitals.
Right, but if you're in the area that only has the TC.
Yeah, you might have to get transported, or like, yeah, you'd have to try to figure out how to get there.
They would just say, we can't help you here? Or would they try to do something?
If they had the capacity to maybe sew a finger on, like different ones, different sizes.
Well, how did they treat your nose? Your sinus thing?
Oh, they gave me this medicine. Like, it helped, but I waited. It was the air pollution was just never a break. There was never a break from the air pollution. It was really bad. I was there at Nanhai Dashue for like 5-6 months, and the total time I was there, it was only like 12 days of clear sky.
Wow. Yeah, that's rough.
That was a shock.
Like you got on your phone like the air quality warning. Mm-hmm. It's like really bad there. Is it worse than in Los Angeles?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Dude, way before masks were being worn for whatever reason they're doing it now, we were wearing masks in China like for the pollution.
Oh wow.
You know, it was kind of cool back then, but now.
Yeah. So you said there's different types of races. Like you only went into the Han.
Yeah, the Han is the Uyghurs.
The Uyghurs.
You know,
who I don't know. Are they considered Chinese?
They are.
Okay.
That was actually a part of I did a research project. You know, at Shufi, Shanghai University of Finance and Economics. And way out there was a part of going and like asking them if they felt like they were Chinese, and they do. They do. The government sees them as Chinese. They're forcing them to be Chinese. The thing is, their Chinese just doesn't look like the Chinese that we're portrayed.
Right.
You know what I mean?
The Chinese that they want to portray.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But what are China doing? They're doing the same thing that every other country did at one point. And it's just, we're all past that phase.
Right.
And they kind of get scrappy about being able to have that phase for them.
They're still in the 20th century.
Yeah, like Shanghai is 35 years old? Every building, every skyscraper is 35 years old. Wow. And there's 35 million people there.
That is crazy.
That's what.
So then the Uyghurs, then who else?
There's really like actually a bunch. I mean, so obviously Mongolians aren't Chinese, but think about the time passage of the region. You got Taiwan, which is, to China, Taiwan is China. To Taiwan, Taiwan is Taiwan. And even the few hundred years that those people have separated, there's some cultural changes, slight even appearance changes, right. You know. So you got the Taiwanese Chinese, then you got like the Cantonese Chinese down in Hong Kong, right? I mean, Japan, like people left and went to Japan. Japan and China, not friends. Right. Not in China's eyes.
Japan, they don't like Japanese.
They don't like Japanese. You don't confuse a Chinese person with a Japanese person, especially if you're doing business. Oh, wow. If you are doing business, I would happen to know some things, you know, that just like subtle things that let them know you really cultured. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Just like the way you say your words, the way you like cover the lighter when someone's smoking, you know, like.
That is a Japanese thing?
That's a Chinese thing.
They don't do that in Japan?
I don't know much about Japan. Okay. I don't know much about Japan. But I do know that Chinese folks, by majority, are mostly in China and haven't left the country and haven't read books outside of the books. You got to think about this. There's a firewall on the internet. You can't search anything.
That's crazy.
I'm not talking like.
So what happens when you try to go to like Google? It's like a Chinese government site pops up. Wow.
It's like you could use this or not.
Yeah.
Right. You have to have a VPN. It's kind of crazy.
Is it easy to get a VPN? You just download it.
It is. It's illegal, right?
It's illegal, but.
So for Chinese citizens, different things are. As a foreigner, the reason I was in the golden age is because I was able to enjoy a nice amount of corruption. You know, some foreigners making some money, pay some Chinese official off, not to worry about this spot. Now we're in the bar doing everything, you know? Mm-hmm. And like, it was fun. This is what you want at that time and age. Yeah. And so for me, coming from a super racist, like, being told that like people can't date me because I'm black, or like I can't be friends with you because you're black, or like, you know, just like even combating my own school to move me into an honor system, because they're just conditioned down there. They're miseducated in the South to say these horrible things, like describing and hating on the way that I look. To go to China and in reverse, people be like, oh my God, like I've never seen a black person before. A lot of people told me I was beautiful. They're like, women, you know, they came up to me, and like, maybe not everyone needed that experience, and everyone didn't necessarily. Some people got really jealous, you know, because my Chinese was really good, and because of that, my looks were allowed to make a difference, because I was really into it, you know, and I really am. And so, obviously, even over there, obviously, the thing about being black, no matter where you go in the world, somebody's racist. Like, it's just kind of a thing, right? So they have stupid racist people in China, but...
What would a Chinese racist say?
They would call you a Haigui, which is... The translation of Haigui is like a black ghost, kind of like a black demon, basically. Very derogatory term. But see, the racism in China is looked at mostly in comparison to Africa. So, what is China doing? They're taking advantage of the fact that every other country has taken advantage of Africa, and once again exploiting the population and the land. They're building in Africa using Chinese workers, and these Chinese workers are seeing Africans, you know, in whatever situation that they've been, you know, left to deal with themselves with, like living in, you know, huts, butts, whatever.
So these Chinese
like,
workers,
you know, cob houses, straw houses.
And they're also competing with them on some level.
Exactly. So the projected image that you get across the internet is direct. Bro, like when I was there were Africans who had been beaten to death for dating Chinese women.
Wow.
Yeah, like that. It's like that.
In what town?
That'll be in some rural towns. But you know, people be getting jumped and shit in the big cities. Like, you definitely gotta watch out in China, because they'll mob against you.
But most people are friendly.
The average person is friendly. There is the Yakuza triad out there, you know.
I thought the Yakuza was Japanese.
They're both Asian. They're both in... Yeah. They're definitely in that region. Yeah. You know, actually, another thing that happened when I was in China is all of the spies from all the other countries had been captured and killed or exiled. That was something that happened, and then they really shut down the firewall and actually wasn't able to communicate with anybody in the States for a couple weeks. Wow. Yeah. We wilding over there, dude. Like, there's, you know, the Tiananmen Square incident.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. What? You still can't talk about that in China. That's the thing. That people growing up in there are not allowed to hear that.
You have to take those things seriously. I'm reminded of, and China is very different than North Korea. But yes. I remember that kid, that college student that stole that...
was it a photo or something?
He stole like a propaganda poster.
Yeah.
And he got like sentenced to 15 years of hard labor.
Right.
And they returned him like a vegetable, and he died.
Right.
You got to like take those laws very seriously, because they take it seriously. It might seem silly to us, and like I'm sure that kid thought, I'm probably going to get away with this. He didn't realize that no, Big Brother's watching at all times.
Yes.
You know?
He had no clue, and that's the thing. China is such a mix of like really advanced and like really savage. You know,
just savage how?
Survival mentality, like what the human mind does when you're in the survival mentality all the time. You know, like, I mean, being broke in LA is a pressure. Being broke in China, that's not necessarily easier or harder, right? They both really fucking suck. Like, if you don't have enough money, but not having enough money and like the government enforcing that you can only improve your life for a certain amount. Like, you're throttled like that, bro. If you don't pass your college exam, your high school exam, you have to be a laborer. That's why you got so many people committing suicide. Yeah. Like, they still have souls, you know. Everyone has a soul, you know.
Of course. You were telling me about at the clubs, you
Yeah.
witnessed like a human trafficking incident.
Yes. So I was in Beijing on a travel trip with my, at that point, study group, right? And so we go to this nightclub, this like really dope nightclub in Beijing. And the thing in China, when rich people have tables, you know, if you bring some like cute foreign girls, you speaking dope Chinese, like you're having fun. Most of the time they're gonna be really receptive to you. Like they want to talk to you, like of course, you know, like you're different. You're a foreigner. So I'm like vibing with this dude at this table. At this point it's like 3 a.m. in the nightclub. In China that's normal though. We're pretty sauced. Like
When did the bars close?
The bars close around like 4, 3. Okay. The clubs close at, like I said, 6 or 8 a.m.
Wow.
And so we're like deep in the club. Like my homie's like blowing on the soccer horn, the little thing. He's just like, just obliterated. My other friend is like just basically holding these 2 bottles in his hands, like taking like the tiniest sips, but he's also just absolutely faded. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, they're super fucked up. I'm gonna like throttle it a little bit. You know, I was like, somebody's gotta be able to speak Chinese and get us home, right? And so these guys are like, their parents are both doctors, they got money. But I kind of like, you know, finessed the conversation. And next thing you know, the guy at the table, he's gone. He's like, dude, like, you guys keep the table, just have fun, right? So we're at this thing for a couple hours. And in that time, this girl named Rose is coming up to me and she's like asking for drinks. And I'm like, yeah, for sure. You know, they left bottles, they left food. We're just hanging out and stuff, flirting and everything. She was cute, you know? And then she comes back and she's like, hey, I need you to pretend to be my boyfriend because these guys keep bothering me. And I was like, okay, for sure. Like my mom did a lot for me. So I always treat women with the most respect that I can, whatever state of mind that I'm in, right? And if a woman's in danger, then I'm for sure gonna be like, okay, hold on, how can we help, right? So she asked me that and I'm like, okay, boo, full act. You know, she sits in my lap. I like kiss her on the cheek. She kissed me on the lips. And like this dude comes up and he sees all this. And I'm like, yo, like this is my girlfriend, dog. Like she can dance. She can do whatever she wants. But can you please stop harassing her? Cause I'm going to get upset. And then he was like, oh no, you know, no disrespect, you know, no disrespect. Like, you know, I was just talking to her. I didn't know you were a boyfriend. And I was like, all right, cool. Just fuck off, you know? And then she sits down, you know, she's flirting with me and shit. And she goes up again and she comes back to get a drink. And then she goes to do her thing. And I'm just like having fun with the boys. And then eventually, I don't know how much time went past, but I realized, I was like, I haven't seen Rose in a minute. So I reach over to my friends. I'm like, yo, bro, have you seen Rose? And the other friend, he was like, no. And then I look over to my other friend, I was like, yo, bro, you seen Rose? And he was like, who? Basically, they're super faded at this point. I mean, this is like probably 4 a.m. Another hour of drinking has gone by. And I just happen to look over my shoulder looking for her. And I literally see like 4 people, her body completely lifted off the ground, her legs flailing, like dragging her out I'm looking down this hallway. And they're like passing the threshold where you're going outside, where you're going around the corner. So I just see her feet go around the corner and I just like sprang into action basically. So I like literally vault over the couch right outside. And at this point I had my military ID. When I go outside, I see 6 people. There was 4 men, 2 women dragging this girl off the ground into this van with Chinese drivers. There was literally just like a dirty white van, right, in the middle of the night. And I ran out with my military ID and I'm like, you need to stop. Like, you need to let her go, causing a commotion. Dude, they start arguing and they're like still kind of going, but now they're arguing, they're moving slower. Some of them are like, who the fuck is this guy? Fuck it. And the other ones are like, they're like, no, we can't. And then so I'm like, yo, I'm going to call the U.S. Embassy right now. If you don't drop her, all of y'all going to go to jail, you know? And then they were beefing about it, you know, and eventually they was like, fuck it. And so they took off, the band takes off, and I go talk to this girl who's fucked up. She's drunk as fuck. You know what I'm saying? I'm the most sober one there, and I was pretty fucking drunk. But thank the universe that I have a spirit that does come through whenever it has to come through. you know, for me. And at that point, I was able to sober up because there was this Italian dude, this older Italian dude who sees all this go down. She's next to me. We're outside now. My friends are on the curb, basically, you know, just like the droopies, you know, they're out. And so
Plans will always be an issue. Anyway, you were talking that you went up to the girl.
Yeah, right. So I go up to the girl afterwards, sit her on the curb, and she's freaking the fuck out. She's only talking to me. My two friends are next to me. They're both pretty fucked up. There's some like bystanders. There's a few old creepy men just kind of like watching. And then this old Italian guy who comes up to me and he's like, hey, is she okay? And I'm like, yeah, she's, well, you can see, actually, no. Like, she's not. And he's like, yeah, it's okay. You know, you don't have to go through all this. Just take her to my house. All she needs is some good dick. And I'm just like, this weird, creepy old man. This girl is totally out of it.
English?
Huh?
You said that in English?
He said that in English. This Italian guy.
Oh, you said Italian.
Yeah, this old Italian guy.
Yeah.
And so me and my friends kind of boxed this dude out, and she's freaking out on everybody else anyway. Calm her down enough to realize she doesn't know where she lives. She has only her dress, not even any underwear, no bra, no phone, no identification. In China. Yeah, that's a recipe for disaster anywhere. Drugged? I don't think she was drunk. She was just really drunk. I mean, the thing is over there, they get this free alcohol for foreigners. Sometimes it's not real. Sometimes the shit that freezes but gets you drunk. Sometimes it's like, I don't know what they call it, abstinence. Like, there's different laws over there, dude, you know, so.
Wait, I must have missed a part. So she wasn't Chinese?
She was not Chinese. She was a American college student.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you probably said that. I just didn't hear it. Yeah.
No problem. Yeah. And like, so then we take her back to our hostel, right? And she's like almost so drunk that she's like not remembering this traumatizing incident, which is good, right? That would fucking suck. I actually hope she doesn't remember that, you know? Right, yeah. Yeah, that was really scary. Yeah. She wouldn't be able to go out and have fun anymore, you know? But like, she was pretty sauced enough to remember that I was helping her, but you know with what? So as she's coming down the whole night, I'm like trying to figure out how she can connect with her friends, and we basically figure out that she needs to log into my Facebook and message her own friends to find a place to come meet them. So she slept at the hostel with us. I gave her some more to contact her friends, and we ended up all going out, just basically to drop her off to her friends afterwards.
This was a white girl?
Yeah.
That is scary to think that just traveling abroad, like they're just like, oh, like a white girl, like we can make money off of her.
Dude, of course, after this, I'm super interested in trafficking because I'm like, this is real.
Yeah.
So, real. You know, I took a course on it, dude. Women like that could be sold for anywhere from like $15,000 to $46,000. People continuously making money off of that sale. So those people were finna just probably sell her to some, you know, Chinese or Russian dude, get a little over 10 grand and split it. Like some really disgusting shit. But that happens a lot in America. It's like ground zero for young children, you know, especially little girls being trafficked.
And that was in Beijing.
That was in Beijing, yeah.
I mean, good for you for like going out there, you know. You're lucky they didn't stab you.
Yeah, because I sure wasn't thinking about that. Yeah. You know, I wasn't, because they, if the 6 of them all had a knife, I wouldn't be here. Yeah. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Did this all occur like right outside the club on like a well-lit street?
Dude, yes. Like literally this is right outside the club.
Like this wasn't in a dark area. Like there were other people witnessing them trying to shove this girl in the car.
It was just late, but there were like, what you gonna do? What they gonna do?
Right. You know? What are they gonna do exactly?
Yeah. Then they don't necessarily. I wouldn't say on a large scale, the population in China has that type of reactive response to like protect strangers necessarily. I don't want to make that blanket statement, so don't take it as a blanket statement.
I'm sure there's gonna be some part where some Chinese guy's gonna watch this and be like, these motherfuckers don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
Yeah. I mean, this is nothing but my personal experience. You know, this is my diary. Yeah. I've seen some crazy stuff. But just like here in Los Angeles, dude, like if you hear someone screaming outside your apartment building and it's 2 a.m. and they scream for like 10, 15 seconds and you like just now waking up, you got your socks on, are you gonna dart outside to see? Or are you gonna assume in your subconscious that it's some homeless person going crazy?
Right.
So it's not like you're bad or good, it's just
you
certain type of conditioning.
The easiest explanation.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Because we were also out there one time and this dude is like popping his girlfriend, bro. Just like punching the shit out of her. And
in the face?
In her body. And like going back and forth and like we run over and try to break it up and the girl starts hitting us. We're like, what the fuck is going on here?
What was the other sexism you encountered over there?
Oh, sexism. Dude, on a internal physical level, the forms of birth control that they use in China and have been using are really, really, really invasive and like painful to a woman's body, right? They don't care about that though. They don't care about that. They don't really like.
What are these kinds of birth control?
It's like basically like metal copper rings with a ring, an oval ring with any sort of like shape to it is gonna be much more painful and has a higher possibility of injury. Like this is a metal ring, dude.
Yeah.
You know, than like the little flexible. Yeah. You know, even here they have birth control devices, the IUDs that women insert, and they're made out of copper, and those can get moved wrong, and it's really painful. So imagine a big copper ring, or they just like the way that they do abortions in China, savage.
What?
Savage, bro.
What?
They'll just have you fucking basically have your baby in a bucket and sit there with its dead body.
Well, that's not an abortion. That's just like murder of the baby that's after the baby's born. They just like leave it out.
Somewhere in the stage, you know, in that stage. Their birth control pills, they do have them. They're like $8, $5. They're pretty rough on women's body though. I think Plan Bs are pretty rough on them too. But yeah, there's that medical discrimination. There's the job force discrimination, right, between men and women over there. I mean, there's a political power. Like there's not really women in the CCP. You know, they have some because they have to, but
right.
I don't know. When I was there, things have changed. But when I was there, this is how it was. And it's, from the outside, progressed. You know, like, I don't think it's chilled out.
Yeah.
You know, they still got those cameras that, they're talking about grading people with a social score.
Yeah.
Terrifying. Of course I don't want to go back.
That didn't exist when you were there?
That was a Vice interview when I was there.
Okay.
Talking about the moon, talking about sending up another moon and another sun, all of that shit was fucking just like gossip talk. To see some of the things that have been gossiped about come to play in China, no, I can never be normal again. I'm just like, first, I'm not going back. I don't even know what I might have said or done. Dude, I used to do all kind of shit. I did fucking K over there, helium, I smoked weed, I drank lean, shipped in from Africa. Like, we did the most, dude. It was awesome, you know, but also I had a couple of friends literally disappear and go to jail, which really shocked me. This girl I was dating, she got a phone call from the police and they were like, we know, literally, we've been watching you. We know everything about you. We know you do a lot of drugs. We're not after you. We want you to help us find the drug dealers. And they told her when she leaves her house, who her best friends are, who she goes to see, because you can never really escape the camera in China.
Yeah.
And they have that facial recognition. You know, that's what makes it elite. So, I'd rather go like to the jungle or like Greece. I don't know, somewhere.
Yeah, that doesn't sound great. That doesn't sound great.
It was cool, dude. I'm over it though. You know.
They probably knew everything that you did. You're like, yeah, it was great. We did those things, and like they're just choosing not to, like, you know.
You know, right.
I don't like the fact that like if they can get me whenever they want. You know?
Yeah, it's probably because I'm funny.
If I happen to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, and they could use me for some reason,
right? They
can pull that leverage card, and make me do what they want. You know,
right?
Yeah.
No, you can't say I don't love China. Though.
Not that I would break the law in China.
In China, right? I would never break the law in China, never.
Yeah.
And like, I never have.
Yeah.
And you just nowadays you can't do stuff like that. but that's fun stuff.
Yeah.
You know, like,
yeah.
You
said it was dangerous for a black guy to like date a Chinese girl. Did you like fuck any Chinese girls?
Yeah.
You did? Was it scary? Were you scared about some racist guy?
I wasn't scared. I was pulling some like, okay, I dated a Uyghur girl and we had sex. Nice. It's good, bro. Like I'm sorry, it's like born and raised in Asia.
Yeah.
It's a little different.
Oh.
Because their culture is like much less sexual. Right. So like when you find someone that's like really trying to put down with a foreigner, it'd be wild. So I've had some like super banging hot chicks. I'm like, okay, just because it was like you're Chinese, right? You know.
Yeah.
Some like various experiences.
They're inexperienced, you'd say, sexually.
It's probably gonna be like a all or none. You know, like this one girl. One of the first Chinese girls I hooked up with, right? She she's like a sugar mama. It's kind of nice. She would pull up in her like brand new BMW and like pick me up from school and shit. And I'm hop out of class from university, go pop out, eat some dope ass food. But she started tripping, right? She starts getting like super aggressive. Like the waitress asked for my number to just confirm my loyalty, your points. And she like jumps up and like snatches the phone from the waitress. And she was like, why do you need his number? What are you trying to do? And the waitress and I are just like, you know, like this is La Bamba. We have a rewards program, you know? And then like, she takes me to her place and she's showing me her sister. And she's like, oh yeah, my sister dates a black guy. And she shows me him, right? It's just like this American black dude. They're in New York. They got a house and everything. And she was like, I don't like him because he's black. And then she looks at me and she's like, but you're mixed. So it's okay to like you. She's like, you're mixed with something, right? Like your mom and your dad aren't both black. And I was like, why am I here? You know what I'm saying? I was like, I don't have to deal with this shit. So I left out of there. The Uyghur girl was fucking crazy. Anytime that I didn't pick up her call, first thing she assumed is, you're cheating on me. You're cheating on me. And I'm like, okay, you told me in the beginning that you weren't going to do this and you're doing it.
Yeah.
So but once these Korean girls moved into our apartment, it was game over, dude. Like I had no chance. I was like, look at them. What do you know what I'm saying? I'm like, no, you know, and like, like there's some, you know, the super hot chicks at the club who like you got to chase down for like 6 months. You got to see them at the club, and then like month 6, they're finally like, all right, you know, I've seen you like.
Really, you have to really play the slow game.
So yeah, you know, it's most likely either a slow game or like, you know, something official, or in the rarer cases, it'll be just like a one-off thing. Yeah, but I would say rare.
Yeah.
Rare to watch out.
Yeah. Because
then they come, I mean, you know, if you put it down like that,
the culture. Yeah.
Then I guess it doesn't matter where you're at. You know what I'm saying? But over there, it's not, for sure, one night stands, that's not really a one night stand place.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's not surprising to me.
But what is surprising though is there's no love standard time. You're not gonna fall, you could fall in love with someone in 2 weeks, say that you're in love, get married, and your parents are gonna call you and be like, you're fucking insane, slow the fuck down. Nobody's gonna say that. There's no standard on it. So people get married after being together for 2 weeks really often. Like I knew a few people who did that. They had kids with this person and everything, dude.
What are the divorce rates there? Is it like here?
Sadly, I don't know, but I think it's similar. Maybe 48%. I don't know. Maybe a little
That's
less.
interesting to me. That's interesting.
That'd be good to look up.
I feel like until very recently, even more recently than here, like marriage was really just like a financial decision, I think. Yeah. In China.
Huh.
I think I'm very uneducated on Chinese history.
Right.
I'm just assuming that, so I could be completely wrong. But like, I know that was true in most of the world, and I know that it was especially true in the rural world, and I know that China was extremely rural up until recently. So.
It was, dude. Yeah. It really was. You know, not that long ago, there was a big civil war, which is why Taiwan is Taiwan. Right. You know, and it was just dirt and grains. Like literally the older Chinese people, like 80 plus, some of them are like 4 foot because there wasn't enough nutrients in their diet for them to even grow. you know, they had big money in China though. Like they've always had massive palaces and like really cool emperors. Like the ancient palaces and the ancient temples, they're magnificent.
I bet that's really cool.
Magnificent. I think it changes your life. You got to think like the people who built that stuff were very intelligent. Like I think the Caucasian American colonizer mindset curriculum tends to make you look down upon everyone that isn't American.
Yeah.
When in actuality, like cultures have been genius for a long ass time.
A long ass time. They've been genius like the longest. Like their culture dates back to like 5,000 BC or something. You know.
China was super advanced. They got left when the Europeans figured out the gunpowder ball form.
Yeah.
Right. You know what I mean? And the weapons really just sent them off. And then the British came in and just really fucked them with the opium.
Yeah.
You know, the British just fucked everybody. They just fucked everything up, honestly. Like, and we're sitting here mad at Germany. They both did big numbers, you know? They both did pretty big numbers, dude.
Yeah.
And like, at the end of the day, it was always a vibe for me to be over there because I had no ego attached to America. Okay. Well, that was something that was an effect that China had. It had an effect on my patriotism because I went over there and I'm sitting here in like Army courses learning about propaganda. And then I go over there and I'm like, oh shit, I can see the propaganda.
Right.
And then after that, I was able to come back over here and I could see the propaganda over here.
Right.
And I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And after that, you know, it was basically never the same. Kind of lost my mind for a little bit, you know? Yeah, I was doing a lot of drugs.
Mm-hmm.